So welcome students, teachers, and parents to another interactive session on career guidance. Today we have among us, on the day of the independence of India, we have among us a representative from the Indian Navy and who is also a pilot by profession, Lieutenant Commander Sudesh Kumar, who's also going to talk more to us about careers in aviation in general. So welcome, Sudesh, and thanks for agreeing to do this.
Thank you for having me here. And before we get into the proceedings, I just want to really appreciate what you are doing for everyone. Me and my wife, we both were discussing once when you pitched this idea to me that you are conducting such sessions, so you want to conduct one session for aviation per se. So I and my wife, we both were discussing about it, and we were just thinking that if some sessions like that were conducted for us in our time, maybe things would have been different.
Sure.
So it's a great thing that you are doing. It's a really good job.
Yeah. But I'm sure every one of us eventually end up in what we like. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
maybe we can save some years finding that thing if we start early.
Of course. That is true. So I'll address you as Lieutenant Commander Sudesh Kumar throughout the session. I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
So just can you go ahead and first tell us more about yourself, and so that the audience is familiar with your journey. How has it been from maybe your high school to what the position that you are in currently?
Okay. As Saurav has already brought out, my name is Lieutenant Commander Sudesh Kumar. I belong to a place called Forbisbin. It's a small town in Bihar. And basically, from high school, I did my high schooling from Nainital. There was a school there called Saraswati Vihar. So till 10th, I was there. Thereafter, I did my 11th and 12th from DPS Bokaro. Thereafter, my dual degree engineering from IIT-Kharagpur in industrial engineering and management. Followed by, I was placed in one multinational company based out of US. I worked there for about 1 year before quitting and joining the armed forces as a pilot in the Indian Navy. I joined in 2015 and I got my wings in 2016. Thereafter, I've flown close to about 1,200 hours till now. And I got married in 2017. My wife, Shweta, she's a patent attorney by profession. And I have a 1-year-old daughter, and her name is Nihira.
Great.
So I think that's a brief description.
Yeah, I think your career journey and trajectory looks very exciting, and I'm really excited to know more about.
We'll talk about it in detail in the subsequent session.
Okay. So today's session is about careers in aviation in general, and you are a pilot in the Indian Navy. That's a great achievement and a great feat to be in. But before we go deeper into learning more about careers in aviation, could you in very simple terms describe what is aviation or what it is? What does a pilot do? Of course, I know it flies, but
yeah.
what does aviation comprise of in general?
Aviation is not just about being a pilot and flying the aircraft. Mm-hmm. Although the statement in itself that I fly an aircraft, if I tell that to somebody, I am bound to get the excitement and awe from that person that yes, this person is flying aircraft. You can just imagine yourself sitting in the cockpit, 13 kilometers high in the air, soaring through the sky, entering clouds, enjoying doing all the maneuvers. It's all very exciting. Yes, it's a job which requires a lot of precision, skills, and it's a great thing that you get to command a flying machine, a state-of-the-art avionics, a machine which is a marvelous piece of engineering. You are commanding that thing in the air. It is doing what you are telling it to do. What you want it to do, it's doing that. So it itself, it's a thing which every second that you spend flying in cockpit gives you the same thrill that you get after spending the whole day at one amusement park. So you can just imagine what it feels. As soon as you open power and the aircraft gains speed and you unstick, it leaves the ground. It defies all the pulls of gravity and everything becomes smaller. All your problems, everything, you just leave behind everything and you're left with sheer joy and happiness when you're flying.
Yeah, I think that's a very exciting thing. Very few of us get the opportunity to actually fly an aeroplane in the entire lifetime, right? Uh, so I see that you are an engineer by training. You are an industrial engineer, and you did it from IIT-Kharagpur. And
Yes.
of course, you are my senior back
Yeah,
in.
both us from the same.
Yeah. So what got you motivated to go into aviation and be a pilot? Was it something that was always in your mind since you were a child, or um, did it later
Yeah,
come into you?
that's a very interesting question. Uh, I think at some point of time, since our childhood, everybody had thought at some point of time that yes, I want to be a pilot.
Mhm.
Whenever you've seen an aircraft, it's like yes, I want to be a pilot, and it's a great thing that I'm getting to live that dream of mine. See, what happens is, uh, whatever your dream is, whatever you want to achieve in life, like suppose let's just take this dream of becoming a pilot. Everybody dreams that they want to be a pilot, but why don't they achieve it, or why don't they do anything about it? It's because once you start to grow and get into routine habits, you start doing things which you are expected to do from your society, from the family, and most of all because they are expecting it from you, you also tend to forget your dream and do what is expected out of you.
Mhm.
That is one of the main reasons that people are not following what they want to do as a child. Another thing is they're not aware. If I want to be a pilot, if I'm not aware how to be a pilot, how will I go and become a pilot? So
Sure.
the awareness is the second factor which everybody has to be, we have to talk about how to become a pilot. If you have to become a pilot, you have you are not aware how to become a pilot, so you need to know somebody has to be there who can guide you, who can take you with them or take you through the steps of becoming a pilot. So that's the another thing. Same thing happened with me when I was a kid. I was good at studies, so I was expected to do well. My grandfather, he wanted me to become a civil servant. My uh, grandma mother, she wanted me to become a doctor because there was no doctor in the family. There were engineers but no doctors. So such pressures amount on you, and subsequently, you tend to fulfill their dreams instead of yours. So the same thing happened with me. With due course of time, I forgot my dream of becoming a pilot and started studying for JEE, cracked it, got into IIT, got placed. But here I would like to mention one. There's one Japanese model of happiness. I think everybody would be aware of it. It's called Ikigai.
Yeah.
Iki means life, and gai is reason. So Ikigai, it translates into reason for your being. There are four aspects to it. The first one is doing what you love. Okay. Second aspect is doing what you are good at. Third aspect is doing what the world needs. And the fourth aspect is doing something for which you can be paid for. Okay. So these are the four aspects. I did engineering because I was good at it. I can be paid for it. And the world obviously need engineers. You have covered that in your previous sessions, I think.
I did.
Yeah. So the only thing that was missing from that was doing something that I love. So there were, although I was happy, but there was a sense of emptiness in me. I used to go to my office. I used to do a 9 to 5 job. I used to come back home and I used to wonder, what am I doing? I'm going to my office, opening a laptop, sitting in front of it, and coming back in the evening. Doing what? Doing something from which a firm in the US is getting benefited from.
True.
See, so I'm doing nothing for my country per se, except for paying a small amount of maybe income tax. That was the extent of my contribution to the country. So these things were eating me up, and every day I was looking for a way out. That no, this is not what I want to do. This is not my cup of tea. I want to leave this corporate life and do something else. So one fine day, I was reading a newspaper. So I saw one ad in that. It was regarding, a direct aviation entry in the Indian Navy.
Wow.
So out of the blue, I just saw the ad. I saw that ad. It rekindled my this old dream of becoming a pilot. I didn't tell about it to anybody in my home. I just applied and just cleared all the hurdles and became a pilot. So that is that is how I have reached where I have, and I think I have found my ikigai. The fourth point, that was fourth aspect of the model that was missing from my life. I found that now. So I think that is it.
Yeah, this sounds very exciting and encouraging, of course. I'm like I know, and I'm sure like many people in the audience and people who are making up their mind on the career that they want to choose are also in a very similar space that you were back then, where the first thing, as you mentioned, there's not a lot of information out there regarding some areas in which students or people are more interested
In fact,
to
the
pursue.
pressure from society is also a lot.
Exactly.
Like the fields which I belong to, Bihar is known for giving, civil servants, engineers, doctors. It's not known for any other field than these three fields.
True.
And people, they are not aware about all these things.
Yeah.
In fact, I was the first one in my whole family to get into aviation. That's a separate thing. To get into defense forces as well. There's no one in my whole family who belongs to defense forces.
Sure. So, Lieutenant Commander Sudesh, I'm really glad to have you again here, and I'm sure you leave a huge impact on the audience today. Not only in terms of motivating them to join defense, of
Even
course,
if I motivate 10% out of the all who are attending or who's going to see the recorded session,
great.
I
That
think
would
that
be,
will be a great achievement for me as well.
yeah, sure. So you're a pilot in the Indian Navy, but there are other pilots also, right, in the civil aviation, like who fly commercial planes and also private jets or private planes. So I have a two-part question for you here. The first part is, what are some of the specializations one can pursue in this career, or is it just like pilot in general, or are there more specializations? And it's like doing an MTech or a master's in engineering, right? Is there something like that in careers in aviation? And the second part to the question is, what are some of the job roles one can hold after going into aviation, in the aviation sector?
Okay, so in this session, I will primarily focus on the commercial side of it, civil airline pilots,
Sure.
and not much towards the defense, how to get into defense forces as a pilot. Uh, that's a very great question. If you choose to become a pilot, you must be aware what lies ahead of you. It's not an easy task, and it's not an easy task to keep changing your field. I have done it once, but I don't think that I'll be able to do it again. You know, because of several constraints which everyone is already aware of. So, pilots per se, you start as a student, you become a pilot, you obtain a license to fly, and it's flying is all about your experience. Like I have 1,200 hours of experience as of now, so that counts. So as you grow older and as you keep flying more and more hours you achieve, more flying experience you have, you will get more roles to play in your maybe if suppose you are flying in Indigo, you have some 5,000 6,000 hours you have achieved. So in that case, what will happen is you will not only be employed for flying, you will also be employed for training others. You can do specific courses, become experimental test pilots who will go and accept the aircraft. When suppose Indigo is buying one aircraft from Boeing, somebody will go and test that aircraft and accept it for Indigo. You can become that. You can take up any role in the DGCA. DGCA is Directorate General of Civil Aviation, which controls and regulates civil flying in the nation across India. So there are multiple roles like that, but it all depends. You start as a pilot, but you have to grow. You have to keep clearing additional, exams. You have to keep taking additional courses to grow in the service. So that is how you will grow. But definitely, as you gain experience in flying, there are various opportunities waiting for you. Becoming a pilot is just the tip of the iceberg, actually speaking.
Okay. So what are some of the other specializations one can pursue?
You can go into a flight safety officer.
Okay.
So that is a very there are several rules for flight safety in DGCA, and several airlines, they regulate flight safety in their airlines. Uh, you can become a safety pilot, and you can become an instructor, you can become an experiment test pilot. So all these things are there, but for that, for every specialization, you have to have some prerequisite experience, like 5,000 hours, 6,000 hours, 10,000 hours, something like that. So all these are like that.
Sure. I'm excited more to talk about the lifestyle of a pilot, and that is something which I like hear about from other sources. I hear that the life of a pilot is very exciting. As you have said, it's very thrilling to be 13,000 feet above the.
Yes, you get the best views in the world.
True. Um, but I think it also comes at a cost. So, I mean, people say that there is a threat to life. There's always like a risk of crash and stuff like that. I know that happens everywhere in even in cars and motorbikes. I'm curious to know what is a lifestyle of a pilot in India in general. What about the work-life balance and job locations? If you can also
Okay.
talk about some of the monetary rewards, because I've heard that pilots get paid like hugely and highly compensated. Is that true? And
If you go to Google and just type, uh, am I there?
yeah, you're here. Yeah.
Okay. So if you just go to Google and just type highest paying jobs, okay, definitely the pilot name that will come in the top 5
Yes.
anywhere in the world.
Yes.
So monetarily, there is no issue at all. You get paid a lot. Average salary of 4 to 6 lakhs is very common amongst pilots a month. That is a month, 4 to 6 lakhs a month.
Wow.
So that's a huge amount. Yeah, that I'm talking about only India. Uh, Outside also you get in dollars, so you can just see, you can just imagine how much you can get. Also, that's a very interesting question that you asked. That what is the lifestyle of a pilot or a work-life balance, basically.
Yes,
So
which is, I think, very important.
you are a pilot, so it is very important, obviously. So I'm just going to explain it a little bit. The thing is that if you are a pilot, you are always on the go. You don't have a fixed destination. Okay. Having said that, you have a very good work-life balance. Why is that? Because there is a aircrew fatigue. There's this term. If you Google it, you'll come to know what does it mean. It means that basically flying is very tasking. You get tired. You're mentally tired. You're not doing physically anything, but mentally you are tired. So all the aviation authorities along the across the world, they have set different rules to limit number of hours that you can fly in a day. So in India, it is set to 8 hours a day is the maximum that you can fly. Or there's a different limits for a week. In a week, you can fly only for 35 hours. In a month, you can fly for about 100 hours. And in a 1 year, at max, you can fly is 1,000 hours. So that's the limit that is already set. So every day that you fly for at least 6 to 8 hours. If you roughly do the mathematics, you are flying only for 150 to 160 days in a year. So you are left with 200 days with you. In that, you can do anything that you want.
Great.
So you get enough time to pursue your other hobbies. You want to do something else, you have enough time for that. And but there's one small issue. Suppose today is Christmas and you want to take leave, you can't. That's the issue. That's the catch here. Although you get 200 days of leave in a whole year, but one particular day that you will want leave, it might not be possible always to give you that, because everybody can take a holiday on a national holiday like Independence Day is tomorrow. Everywhere it will be a holiday, but airplanes will keep flying. There is no holiday there. See, so that's one aspect of it. And if you talk about lifestyle, everybody must have seen a pilot roaming around in a
Uniform.
airport. I must say, their swag is different. When you look at a pilot, you know that he's a pilot, and he's showing that through his dressing style and walking style. Everything shows that he's a pilot. So it's a respected job. Everybody will look up to you with respect. I think that clarifies this question. And
Is there a threat to life if you are flying high
yeah,
at
see,
level, or is there
challenges are always there.
is
Why
there
is it a high-paying job?
because
Because there are risks involved,
true.
and these risks are fatal in nature. Flying, humans are not made for flying. If God wanted us to fly, God would have given us wings, and we would be flying with birds. But it's not in our nature to fly. We are doing something that is against nature. We have made something of such a heavy aircraft, and we are taking it to making it fly. So that's against nature. It's the marvel of engineering that we are able to do it. But when you are flying at 30,000 feet in the air, it is very unforgiving. The temperatures there are in the order of minus 70 degrees centigrade. The winds are extremely, like 200, 300 kilometers per hour winds. So any mistake that happens in air might result in your, death.
Okay. Sure. So everything comes at a cost. There is risk involved, but of course you're paid higher.
Yeah.
And again,
So
it's
I
a
think,
very, very thrilling profession.
yes, it is.
Yeah. So I just want to switch gears here and talk about how the field will evolve in the next maybe 5 to a decade from today. Because I know you just said an aircraft is like engineering marvel, and technological progress has made it much more sophisticated. There's something called autopilot mode, which I hear about, which
Yes.
kind of drastically reduces the work of a pilot, I assume. So going forward, do you think there is scope for pilots, or will it just be all autonomous? And
I don't think that it is possible in the next at least 20 to 30 years. It is not possible to have an aircraft which can fly on its own and without any operator. You cannot remove the operator from there. You can have everything in the world on autonomous system, on AI, everything you can do, but you cannot remove that one operator who is there. In fact, a Delhi metro, there are multiple metros in Delhi which are, completely autonomous, but still there is one operator for emergency situations. So I don't think that even in next 50 years we'll have something like this, that people are flying without a pilot or without somebody sitting in the cockpit.
yeah,
Yes, we have systems where aircraft can just take off on its own, land on its own. You don't have to do anything, but it's not at all true when people say that being a pilot is the easiest job. When you are sitting in that place, in that cockpit, you are responsible for all the 300 passengers behind you. You are responsible for their lives. You are responsible for that costly aircraft. So everything is under your control. Aircraft is only doing what you are telling it to do, either by your command, either by physical command, or by a command by a computer. So it's I'm not matlab, it's not possible to remove the human element from there. So
okay,
having said that, a pilot is not sitting there and sipping a cup of coffee. Obviously, he's sipping a cup of coffee, but he is keeping an eye on all the instruments which are there. There's, if you have seen a cockpit, you can imagine what kind of eye to detail is required to become a pilot. Because when you are driving a car, there's one speedometer and one fuel gauge and one RPM meter. That's all. You have to monitor just three instruments. In aircraft, you have to monitor all your engine instruments. There are multiple things in an engine as well. Then you have to monitor your speeds. You have to monitor your height. You have to monitor everything, the route that you are following. It's a it's a very tasking job. And if you think that you have 5 minutes free time while sitting in the cockpit, then my friend, you are wrong. It's not like that, not at all. and you cannot remove that person from the cockpit.
Great. So the human element to it will always
It
remain.
will always be there. And and to answer your question that how will the industry evolve? Obviously, we all are suffering from this COVID pandemic right now, and the number of passengers which were flying before have now reduced. But this COVID thing will definitely go. However, how much time it may take, but it will go, and we will again. In fact, aviation is the fastest growing sector in the whole world. In India itself, you can imagine there are just about 700 to 800 aircraft and about 10,000 pilots. That's that's the current scenario, and the number of air passengers, they are going to double in next 10 years. The amount of people who are traveling through air, that is going to double in the next 5 to 10 years. India is as of now ranked fifth in if you talk about the number of air passengers, and it's going to take over UK and become third by 2030 or so. So there's a lot of scope. Lot of orders are being placed from several airlines for new aircraft, and for every aircraft they need at least 12 pilots to fly it, because even a person can fly for 8 hours, but an aircraft can fly 24/7. So to make an aircraft fly 24/7, you need at least 3 to 4 sets of pilots. So that's about 10 pilots you need for one aircraft. So, and if you just go through the news, every airline is placing order. There are new airlines coming up. So the scope is going to be phenomenal in this sector.
That's really encouraging to hear. So one of the biggest element of choosing a profession is passion and love, as you have said, love towards the field, as you have said earlier. Apart from passion, what do you think are other personal attributes or inclinations or skills that one, someone sitting in the audience needs to have to kind of make a decision to go in aviation and to maybe choose aviation as a career? So just like, just want to make
it's a very, very good question. Very good question and applicable.
I want to make a note here that I've heard that physical fitness is very, very important. You need to have a sharp eyesight, and you need to have a tall physique. So is this true, and are there ways to get around that?
See, the thing is,
maybe at least not the tall physique, but of course.
The thing is, see, you have to be able to fit in the cockpit. As far as commercial airlines are concerned, there is not much restrictions on your height or your eyesight. It should be correctable using glasses. But if you want to take the route through defense, then you have to be perfect. Your height, you ergonomically also you should be able to fit in the cockpit. Your eyesight, everything has to be perfect. So there's a separate medical exam which happens if you want to become a pilot in the defense forces, which happens at in Bangalore. There's one institute. So you have to pass that examination. If you fail that examination, even if you have cleared all other examination, you won't be able to become a pilot in the armed forces. However, in commercial airlines, there is no embargo on such things. Or the medical standards are not that much as compared with the defense forces. Having said that, you also asked about the attributes that are required. So in my learning days, when I was starting to fly, my instructor used to say that even a monkey can fly, even you train him for 50 years. But it's not possible to train a monkey for 50 years. He will die before that. So there are certain attributes and certain traits which are required to, a person should have those traits in order to become a good pilot. What are these? First and foremost is the desire to learn. You must not say no to anything, because becoming a pilot, it's a very challenging task. You have to be ready for all the scenarios that can happen in the aircraft while you are flying. And you cannot second guess your decisions. So desire to learn is the first and foremost. It is the biggest trait a person should have. I'll just give you an example. Throughout my engineering, I don't know if I've studied that much. I've studied more than what I've studied throughout in my engineering after becoming a pilot. And if you think that after becoming a pilot, you don't have to study. You are wrong. You will have to study throughout your life till the time you are in aviation, because it's a sector where new technologies are coming every day. You have to be, on the toe. You have to know everything that is related to aviation, because up in the air, you cannot commit any mistake, and you have to be aware about everything. The second trait that I will, that is self-confidence. Now, don't mistake it with too much confidence. If you are too much confident, you will become arrogant and you will commit mistake. And you cannot be low on confidence as well, because if you are low on confidence, you will second guess every decision that you take. Suppose you are flying, your engine has got fire, and you are second guessing at that time. That can result in a fatal accident that will prove fatal to all the person on board. Even you are also there. Think about your family in that case, and you have to be, on the ball. You have to have attention for details. There are several instruments in front of you, and it cannot happen that you are ignoring even a single one of them. Each instrument has their own importance, and you have to monitor them. You can go on YouTube and see aircraft accident videos. All these happens because pilot has missed one small thing which has resulted in an aircraft crash. So all these things, you have to have situational awareness. What is happening around you? While flying, you are not the only one in the air. There are several hundred other aircraft in the air. You cannot go and bang into another aircraft. So situational awareness is also required. You are supposed to have a clear communication skill. Why is that? Because in aircraft, while flying, you have to talk to several agencies on ground. You have to talk to your co-pilot. You have to give clear instructions. You have to speak with your attendant behind in the cabin. So, in fact, before becoming a pilot, you have to clear one exam for this. That is called radio telephony restricted. So you have to be crisp, clear, and you have to have a good crew resource management. And the last trait has to be, you have to remain calm under pressure. Something has happened while flying, and that time, if you are under pressure, and you won't be able to perform. While learning, it was a common saying that whatever you practice on ground, whatever your mental capacity is there on ground, while flying, it reduces to 10%. So while flying, you are already under so much pressure that you are already flying at 10% mental capacity. So your ability to remain calm under pressure is paramount in those scenarios whenever some emergency happens.
Okay.
I think there are several other traits which are required, but these are the main attributes which are required.
Okay. So for someone in the audience who has all these attributes and really has passion for flying and wants to become a pilot, I want to know, I want him or her to know, how can one become a pilot from like this stage? Now they are maybe in the standard 9th or standard 10th in high school. What are some of the exams that he or she needs to take? How do you prepare for those exams? Which academies do you join? And what part do you follow? Are there any other resources available that you can use maybe at starting from this stage? And the last part is, how early do you start preparing for that? Is it after 10th or after 12th? How does it work?
See, the minimum requirement is 12th, and compulsory subjects are physics, chemistry, maths that you have to study in your 12th.
Okay.
And you have to be 16 years of age to start, training for your become the pilot. In India, there are 5-6 academies. IGROA is one of them in Raebareli. IGROA is Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Udan Academy. There's one academy like that. There are several other academies in India. There are exams which you have to clear that is based on your 12th subjects. Mostly physics, chemistry, maths only, and some reasoning and all those things are there. So if you Google it, you will come to know about all the details, the dates. So after 12th, you can apply, but there is no upper limit of age. You have to be minimum 16 years of age. You can become pilot at any age. There is no restriction on that. Another aspect to it is the cost of training. the cost of training is higher than when you compare it with other streams. To become a pilot in India, you have to spend at least 60 to 70 lakhs to become a pilot if you want to go through the some academy which are there in place. But the thing is, some people can afford it, some people cannot afford it. What about the people who cannot afford it? How can they become a pilot? So these academies, they generally have tie-ups with different financial institutions, and they can give you loan. And now you'll be wondering, why should I take such a huge amount of loan? The interest in itself will be so much. Look at the rewards after you get placed, how much you will be earning. You'll be able to repay that loan in 2-3 years at max. At max 5 years, even if you spend lavishly. So financially, I don't think it's a big problem to become a pilot, because once you have become a pilot, your salary is going to be so good that you will be able to repay your loan in no time. And banks are also willing to give you loans. It's not like there is generally bank will consider several aspects before giving you a loan. But if you are going through some academy, definitely they will be able to give you loans. That's one way of becoming a pilot. Another thing is, if you don't want to take loan or spend money and become a pilot, still want to become a pilot, you can choose the path which I did.
Okay.
You can join through defense forces. You have Indian Air Force, air element of Indian Navy, air element of Indian Army. All three forces, they have air element. I am in the air element of Indian Navy. So they are basically, after +2, you can go through NDA for permanent commission if you want to spend your whole life in defense forces. Another option is that you can join for a short period of time. That is a separate entry scheme which government has started. That is short service commission. I'm a short service commission. My bond is for 10 years. I have to serve in the Navy for 10 years. I've already completed 6. I have to go for 4 more years in the Navy. It's like that. So basically what happens is, you have to apply, then you have to clear one exam called SSB, Service Selection Board. Thereafter, you will be required to go through medical tests. If you clear that, you will give your pilot aptitude test. If you clear that, then you will join Indian Naval Academy or Indian Air Force Academy at Dindigul and or IMA, depending on which stream you choose. So that way also you can become a pilot. In that, the additional one benefit is that you are not paying for your professional pilot training. Another thing is that you get to serve your nation, and the amount and the kind of flying that you will do as a defense pilot cannot be matched if you are an airlines pilot.
Okay.
So you can just imagine that you are flying just 100 feet off the ground at 400 kilometers per hour. So that thrill is totally different, which you won't be able to get. You are doing aerobatic maneuvers. All these things you can do in defense, but not in civil aviation.
Sure.
So that's another aspect to it.
So right after 12th, standard 12th, you can move into or you
Yeah.
can choose to become
Yes,
a pilot.
yes.
Or basically, you can become a pilot without any prior background,
Yes.
any type of engineering or anything else.
No, nothing is required.
Okay. Lastly, what are some of the misconceptions surrounding careers in aviation? I think we briefly spoke about some of them, like having a sharp eyesight or a tall physique, but you said that those are all, of course, you require physical.
Those are all true. Sadly, those are all true.
Okay. You said that physical fitness is again required in the defense forces. Are there any other misconceptions that are surrounding being a pilot?
Yes, there are a few misconceptions. Uh, like you, it's a concept. There's a misconception that the field is too competitive.
Mhm.
There's not much scope there. So as I covered earlier, the industry is growing at a very fast pace, and it's the one of the most fastest growing industry in the world. So as I told earlier, there are just 700 to 800 aircraft, and companies are buying more and more aircraft. They'll need more pilots, and eventually, one of us will become a pilot and go and fly those aircraft. So, it's a misconception. another misconception which I have already covered for you is that you don't need to be a graduate to become a pilot. You can directly apply after 12th, as I've covered already. The exams, there's another misconception that the exams that are there, which they are tough to crack, and it's a costly affair to become a pilot. So the last misconception is true. However, you have to study for exams. There's no other way out. If you are not serious about it, then I don't think that you are qualified or you are suitable to become a pilot, because that is going to be your life, studying and working hard. Becoming a pilot is a very hard job. You have to be ready for every scenario that can happen. So generally, these are the misconceptions. Another misconception is that women are not there in the industry. They comprise of hardly 5% of the total pilots. So it's nothing like that. The woman cannot become pilot. Nothing at all. In fact, women are joining defense forces to become military pilots. So there's nothing like that. It's just that I don't know. Maybe they are not much inclined, or they have not been motivated enough. That's why this gender bias is there.
Sure.
But it is reducing now. Nowadays, you can see many women pilot flying aircraft. I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
was most of it.
yeah.
I think it was really great talking to you, and I learned a lot. I'm sure people in the audience also learned a lot about careers in aviation and many aspects of it. Thanks for sharing all this. Before you end the session, do you have one final piece of practical advice that you would like to give to the young minds who are sitting in the audience? Maybe you can not maybe related to choosing careers in general, if not specific to aviation.
Sure, why not? See, whatever stream you choose, whatever it is that you want to become, it will have its own set of requirements, challenges, and uh, everything will have its own advantages and disadvantages. What is most important here is that you have to believe in yourself, that you can do it. See, I was campus placed in a firm which was based out of US. I was earning a good amount, but in the end, I was not happy, and I had this belief in me that yes, I can do something else. That's why I could leave that comfortable life and move towards something else. I could totally change my stream. Uh, so just believe in yourself, and whatever you are doing, just give your 100% to it. Identify that one thing that you love to do, and just hone your skills. Uh, Keep practicing it so that you become good at it. And the most important thing is that don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's one. Mistakes are the biggest teachers in life. If you don't commit mistakes, how will you learn? So don't be afraid to commit mistakes, and find your ikigai. That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. So thank you, Lieutenant Commander Sudesh Kumar, for sharing all this, all your valuable insights on this. I'm sure many people have benefited out of it, and maybe if they have more questions, they can maybe write.
If they have more questions, what you can just guide it through Saurabh to me, and I'll be more than happy to acknowledge them and respond to it.
Sure. So thanks again for doing this, and now I think it's a time we take questions from the audience. I think we'll have one. We have just 1 or 2 minutes. Is that okay to take?
Yeah,
questions?
sure. Yeah.
So if anybody has questions, maybe you can unmute yourself and ask it directly to the speaker, or maybe type it in the chat so that I can read it out to speaker. But I think this was a very valuable information for me as well.
I hope I was able to. Somebody wants to.
Yeah, there's one question.
This is required for Navy. See, the SSB is conducted by UPSC. There is another exam called CDSC, that is Combined Defense Services Examination. That is conducted by UPSC. UPSC per se is only for administrative services, that UPSC exam, civil services exam that we do. UPSC conducts the CDS. Okay, Sankalp raised hand. Okay, Sankalp wants to ask some question.
I think you can maybe address the UPSC part first. Like, I think so. You don't require UPSC to go to Navy. Is that?
No, 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 no.
I think there is one quick question, sir. Can sir please tell something about army doctors? I'm not sure whether that is so relevant.
That is not relevant. However, you can type the same thing on Google and you will find a lot of answers there.
Sure. Sure. Sankalp had raised hand. If he has question, he can unmute himself and ask. I don't think he has a question.
Okay, if there are any other questions, you can just route them through you.
Sure.
It's okay.
So thanks again for joining.
Hello, I have one question, Saurabh.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. What are the challenges that you have faced so far as a pilot?
Okay. Challenges of becoming a pilot. You have to be at it. As I told during my session that your
Hello.
mental capacity. Yes, hello. Am I audible? Ma'am, hello.
Hello, Aparna ma'am. I think your question was clear. You asked what are the challenges he had to face in becoming a pilot or as a pilot, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. The first and foremost, the first challenge was convincing my family, because I was already settled in a good job,
Okay.
good paying job. I was already, doing well, uh, and throwing that all out and starting from scratch. That was a big step for me, for my family. So the first main challenge was to convince my family to, I wanted to switch careers and do this. That was the first challenge. The second was, since I took this route of defense forces, the training at the defense establishments, those are very harsh, very hard, but those are required because they need to instill that you are coming from civil and you have to become an officer in the defense forces. So you need to have those that kind of discipline in you. So that training, going through that training, uh, flying per se is difficult, but it can be done through hard work, and you have to be at it. I think there's not enough challenges. It's not like you cannot do it or it's very difficult or it's very hard. It's easily doable. I have done it, so can you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks, Lieutenant Commander Sudesh Kumar, for guiding our students on a very fascinating, thrilling, prestigious, yet tedious profession. I'm sure all must have got a lot from you. We wish you all the very best in your future endeavor. Thank you,
Thank
and
you.
happy Independence Day.
Very happy Independence Day to all of you.
Yeah, I think it's about time we close the session because I think
Yeah,
Sudesh has another commitment. So happy
Yes.
Independence Day to all of you, and we'll see you soon tomorrow again at 7 p.m. for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you.